in the society also to see this. Connection is an eternal connection, not just for limited time or in order to achieve something I don't know. I also don't think a person cares about it today as he lives with his family, that it'll be an eternal connection, but it's natural this way. No natural, he can think about whatever he wants, but he has no basis to think that way. What does he depend on? Yeah, corrected. Relations, if there is some ideal in which all the conditions are held and each one can sustain for his needs, we can see how such a harmony would work. But what happens when the needs of the individuals collide with each other, when we have limited resources, or the conditions don't allow, the needs of one collide, conflict with the needs of the other? Then what? So you have such conflicts, and you have to cut it off from different directions, because I think that if we try to imagine that practically, that's where the problems begin. When someone needs something, someone else also needs it, and then it's not that harmonious anymore. It's always that way, you bet. So we need to discuss it and cut from multiple sides. We see that sometimes, even if there's a goodwill and tendency towards the importance of connection, when there's a limited resource, the some eruption, explosion happens. It's not explosions, it's a topic for discussion and for placing certain restrictions, limitations. I don't know if we can compare, but there's the importance of connection when there's a limited resource. Some eruption, explain, explosion, a topic for discussion and for placing certain restrictions, limitations. I don't know if can compare, but they're the importance of connection. There's a limited resource, some eruption, explosions. It's a topic for discussion and for placing certain restrictions. I don't know if can compare, but they're the import of connection. There's a resource, eruption, exclusions. It's a topic for discussion and for placing certain restrictions, limitations. Compare, but the import of connection. There's a limited resource for discussion, for certain doing in order to bestow. Sure, how? Because why would he continue to behave that way? Because there's an inversion here. How could that really happen? Like you're saying, yeah, or rightly. So here is the question: how can we nevertheless rise to bestowing in order to bestow? Maybe you can ask to also read it W. It's shorter. Yes, item W. When I say that a communist regime must not be installed and stated before there is an altruistic majority, I do not mean that they will be willingly idealistic. Rather, it means that they will keep it for religious reasons in addition to public opinion. This situation is one that will last for generations, for religion is the primary compeller. So what is this religion? That is major reason of religious. Here he's describing a seemingly stable state that continues, that extends itself, that religion is the primary compeller. What does that mean? What I'm saying, that we cannot lead a communistic regime before there is a majority of altruism, doesn't mean that they will be so in terms of a desired ideal. Rather, it means that they will carry it out due to religion in addition to public opinion. Again, that they will carry it out due to religion in addition to public opinion, and this coercion is destined to exist for generations, since religion is the main obligator. What does it mean that religion is the primary compeller? Let's ask this together. What does it mean religion is the primary compeller? You have an answer there. You want know simply in the article the essence of religion and its purpose. He says a clear definition of religion. He says the essence of religion is to develop in us the sense of recognition of evil. So if we take that definition, that the essence of religion is to developing us the recognition of evil, it works out correct pretty well here. That if we really engage in the method of correction, and this method we aim ourselves and all of the society towards developing in us the sense of recognition of evil, then it kind of opens person certain kind of like new horizons of where to yearn for, because the current state is always bad and we always have to yearn for a good state, and that can compel It's again, why are we all here? Because we understand there's no chance nature is compelling us to develop this way. It's either Torah or suffering. Rash also writes about that. Actually, those who understand there's nowhere to go and you have to implement it. Nature is compelling its plan upon you. Yes, it seems simple to take this in the 10 I must feel, but the friends are greater than me even though I don't feel that, but that reason compels me. I must go according to that. I think he says it in one. It's to observe the commandments of the Torah and to let the light work upon us. Only the light can perform this change in us where we will subjugate ourselves towards this light, so it will truly let us develop and to aim towards what he needs to give us, because only it can develop us and lead us to where we have to go, but it's under the conditions that we observe the MIT of the Torah. There is no other way, only the light can of the Torah can do. A person is an egoist by nature, so only through caution you can start to work in love thy friendless thyself, which is the morals of the religion, and from this see from this up pressure he can start discover and acquire the pleasure from bestowing to them, see them developing, growing in his eyes. He truly enjoys it, and then gradually he starts to understand that the reception that he enjoys is also flawed, because he has to bestow without any reward, and he starts to distance himself from that and to yearn for an upper force that will put inside of him the quality of, and then it continues as it's known, no can. Again, this matter of religion is the compelling force. It's not like in education and a public opinion like in developed countries like Germany, where it's without connection to the Creator, without the next world, without the things that can compel me beyond my simple reason. So religion compels me is that there's a belief that comes not from the people around me, that I see, that are not giving me anything, but there's something special that's assured or promised to me according to what's going on, and there's a judgment, and there's a judge, and there's a sentence, and everything is assured before me. So if this is what's compelling me to work, then Bam writes that this such a foundation will compel and sustain itself and hold up what should not confuse us, is which is that it doesn't lead us directly to altruism, to absolute altruism. Rather, it can sustain the state of the ego within a state of communism, meaning to hold on to an egoistic, communistic state, but to remain at that level. And if we want to understand how from that we come to the desirable state, I think that from this and from other writings, if there's a big society that operates in this way, gradually what stems from this is the next level. What will stem from it, what will grow from it, is the people who want to be in this and for us to absorb it somehow, and in the multiple of people it also will lead also to all the nation, the whole people to rise upward. But there has to be a certain nation that observes it, even in a linguistic way to begin with. That's how I understand it. So if I understand this correctly, if religions, which is reward next world, if I understand religion correctly, if they would say that the public opinion would be in love thy friends thyself, then egoistic communism could take place, meaning the reward in the upper force, and the opinion, the public opinion, where I'm willing to wilt live for others, would be enough. But it's still not enough, because without attainment we cannot change our nature, meaning still to change our nature is not enough. But it would probably be a good world, but that's not the goal. The goal is nevertheless to attain the Creator, and therefore what's the point in doing such a society where everyone out of fear loves one another, and there's this public opinion that supports it, but that too does not take place. It's probably a stage that has to be. Yes, there's another thing in religion that is different altogether from all the rest of their methods, which is that it depicts to us a final state, the most exalted state, which is a attention to the quality of bestowing the Creator, and in no other method it doesn't appear. There is no such thing, the final goal, and it is actually so exalted, so great, that it is supposed to obligate us to build a corrected society, and this society is to build a corrected society will not be a goal as it is, but is a means to reach attention, that exalted state, and that's supposed to compel us again. What I heard so far from what we read is that be writes about what's happening in this world, how we can work with the screen. That's actually what it is to receive what I need to work as much as I can correct. Yes, and all this talk that he does here about how to receive the fear of heaven, meaning it needs to go through a certain stage, which in the work of the screen is to move to working above reason, right, and then according to what we learn when he moves to work above reason, when he has that ability, he can develop a connection with the Creator, and that connection is called the fear of heaven. Can you say that? Yes, actually the question, as I understand it, is how but in most of the public now, if there's religion, which let's say I have a reward from the Creator which is egoistic, and I'm willing to bestow in their society now, when we learn that to come from, we need a certain force that will operate upon us, and for that we need to put the goal before us, as we want to come to Lishmar. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Otherwise, it's the potion of death. Now, the society, if in such a society there are people that are the leaders, that are in attainment, and through them there's the reforming light, is that enough? Or also in the society, people need to someone aim to reach? Or is it enough that the leader of this sort? No, the entire society has to be like that. So how will they receive it if they don't have a point in the heart? How will they get that? Which society are you talking about? We're building a society right now. Bam says that the compelling foundation is religion. Why? Because people believe that there's an upper force, and these are the upper laws, and there's the authorities of the great ones of the religion say that this is what you have to do. Love your friend as yourself. People believe them. And then there's the public opinion that yes, this is correct, but everyone expects an egoistic reward, and that's lish. Now, how from that do we come to what force will draw the society, each in the society, to feel that this is his need for his soul? If there's no point in heart, how will that work? It's not going to work. Very simply, it won't work, because he doesn't belong to that level called Abba reason. So I'm asking, let's see if there's a nucleus in such a society of people who learn Lishma through them. If they're part of that society, can that force move to the rest of the public or not? No. Illumination, of course. But anyone who doesn't have a root in Lishma, it's impossible. And can suffering lead people such a feeling of a point in the heart? I don't think so, meaning it's a long process, if at all. Maybe with everything that we heard so far, maybe what he's offering here, he's talking about the collective, not about us. We have a method, but for the general public, they're saying one thing: I want to move you from receiving in order to receive to bestowing in order to receive. In order to bestow, you don't know what to. I just want to take you one step forward. See, it will be worthwhile for you'll work like a contractors. You'll feel the reward, it'll be good for you. Only one thing to move to that, and that's the ideal, and the public opinion won't do that. You need religion for that. Yes, he's not offering them spirituality, he's offering that it'll be good for you in the will to receive if you just learn what it is to bestow in order to receive. So what did he do? He advanced humanity one step forward. From there are additional steps. Those who have her in the heart will go much further, but those who not, at least won't harm, and they come out of it, because that could become a swamp. But if we hear what we heard so far, at least in the first few items, he says it's worthwhile it will be worthwhile in the will to receive, to make a step forward, to be in bestow in order to receive. There's a reward in it, because otherwise how can you explain what spirituality is? How can you draw the collective of humanity to screens and working truly in order to be K? Yes, you are correct. I have a question. We in the last 200 years, there are these regimes that have created separation between what we call religion, what we call the state, or the governance of the state, also in Russia and America, and many of the big regimes that exist in the world. And if I understand correctly, it's a question I'm asking. It is saying right now that you cannot observe this reality that we're developing in without connecting religion to the regime. It won't work. Without that's clear yes, that's what he's saying, meaning he's offering a certain new form of regime here as much as we want to separate between the two. Corporal development and spiritual development you can't, and that maybe is the beginning of this innovation that what he's saying. Here it says please note you cannot separate religion from the physical normal way of running the state. You have to have them together because you'll have a third world and a fourth world, and who knows what beyond. That just understand principle in item 5 he defines here actually that the state of mine is mine and yours is called absolute altruism, and this is when most of the public will begin to implement this of mine is mine and yours, then you can reach to working according to one's a need and receive ability and receive according to one's need what's missing. In mine is mine and yours is yours, which will lead us to working according to the ability, that sight rule. No, mine yours is yours, that's not the sight rule, it's he absolute alism. Oh, yours is yours and mine is yours. Yes, he writes that it's a degree that precedes the final degree, which is to work according to one's ability and receive according to the need. And I think to understand these definitions of what it means, what's the difference between this and that, because if you were to ask me after 20 years, I would define that the previous degree is to work as one as ability and work need, and then mine's mine and yours is yours. But here he writes it the opposite way. You start from mine is mine and yours is mine, then yes, and then after we reach absolute altruism, then the majority of the public accepts this rule in practice, and we move to working according to the ability and receive according to the need. So that's the question, what is there in working according to the ability and receiving according to the need that isn't? And let mine be mine and yours be yours. Okay, consideration. So what is this coming to this higher degree of working according to one's ability and receiving according to one's need? Why is that higher? Why do we even need that? If so, he starts to restrict himself in bestow. He doesn't restrict anything. Bestow as much as possible in reception. Receive as little as possible. Okay, good morning. During this I read the rest of the items and I saw that communism is supposed to be a result. It is. Altogether it's supposed to be an idea that is a result. This state, it's a final state, and until the whole society becomes altruistic, you can't even observe it, meaning it's a preceding condition. That is that all our work needs to be on the correction of the measures of man in order to do this, meaning it feels like we did something too early here in the conversation to talk about that there's another thing that remains in a misunderstanding, that we have to first do our economical corrections so that only after that in the end to ask from others to give up their assets, etc., which is also supposed to be some kind of a contradiction to what he's saying here in the end, that he couldn't understand. The question is how we take the discussion we're doing here and truly going towards where communism is a result, because we see that in the communism that we tried to do in core and we paid a very high price from humanity and it didn't succeed. Yes, so how do we focus more on what we're calling religion here, which is also not completely clear what religion he exactly means, which is the one that will make the correction that will draw light. There will be a T first of all. Religion is a religion of bestow. That's what I think. What else did you ask? How do we implement this and move this religion so it won't be to the all of the public before we reach a communistic a regime that will not be coerced, that will not be just a mine will be yours and yours will be yours. Only altruists can reach such a degree. No, there's an answer, and at 21 if you could read it. Item 21. It's clear this is item you clearly know stable and proper social life is possible, except when controversies among members of society are resolved by the majority. It therefore follows that there cannot be a good regime in a society unless the majority is good. A good society means that the majority in it is good, and a bad society means that the majority in it are bad. As I have said above in item 3, communism must not be established before the majority of the people in society operate with a desire to bestow. Little question there are these numbers in the items 547, all kinds of little numbers. These are additions. Addition, I don't know where they are, written in the continuation of the book. There's that I'll explain in the handwritten notes. What you're seeing is in the handwritten notes, yes, so in the text there were like these combined in. They're little pointers or little numbers. Where do they sending? It's not exactly clear, but there are additions later in the end where Jill had said that's where addendums exist, but you won't necessarily find 4 and 4-2 and pay etc. That's how it appeared in his handwritten notes. Ken, when can you know that you can somewhat implement this in a small society? Let's say in our society in a 10. To what extent can you see the measure the change that it's enough in order to bestow that you can experience such a regime or such a interaction between us? I don't know. I think first of all we need to do something mutual in writing that is accepted by everyone, that this is how we understand for now what we received from BAM regarding communism. Then when that's accepted by us, we need to see how we can begin to realize it. What are the stages? What are the first stages until we hit something that's not entirely clear, not entirely known? It becomes vague, foggy. So first we need to write such stages, these first stages, and try to accept them to write daily how it's perceived, what's what's not received, and what is it doing in us. And after that to see methodically what are we going through exactly, mean to examine the border of our ability according to that, and not be on that. Remember you once said that there was even a matter of even buying fruits and vegetables together. There are all kinds of certain commonalities and some kind of communal work even here between different professionals. We were very cautious in knowing we can use this kind of bartering or anything like that. But so in short, you're saying you can start to examine a little bit the borders of those things inside the society, in this communal society in us, with us not yet we are more advanced. Us we owe you are your society. Then yes, back then thank you, just according to what we talked about in item 21, where he writes what I said above, that we cannot do communism before the majority of people are in order to bestow. So we read 23 was that you cannot have a communistic regime prior to having an altruistic one, is that you cannot have an it will be willingly. Idealistically rather, it means that they will keep it for religious reasons in addition to public opinion. Since religion is the primary compeller, it's not that it's a result, it's actually accompanying the development person. It's not that we can't receive these holistic things, but it's actually we have to develop with the rest of humanity. It can't be a result, it has to be part of the action of development for us each time it's developing to the development of. So they're observing that yes, we can also read about this here, and he says that when there will be a majority that is altruistic, it doesn't mean that they'll be ideal this, that it will be altruistic and want to be bestowing, but rather he says the meaning is that they will observe this due to religion together with public opinion. So according to public opinion, this is what compels them to observe the laws of religion that will draw the light upon them, which can operate up their heart, and then they can become altruistic, and they can't wait for them to want this. Naturally, it might be an explanation, but we didn't learn it this way. Could be there's a stage where the public, of course, if they will agree with dictatorships, just like in the times of the Great Assembly, that's, and I don't think, so I don't think, so also, when you have a state where a part of their Public out of lack of choice agrees to a certain direction but still very far from accepting the wisdom of Kabbalah, is as the idea of the foundation. It's very far from it. It doesn't exist in the neither in the head nor in the heart of the public. Now as we're making this scrutiny, I made this effort not to remember other articles about to kind of try and take all that's written, just hear that we're reading, and now you gave us a mission to make from the writings of and write these stages, and here I felt like without the piece article where he explains about the work of the Creator, he can't advance in this the scrutiny of what religion is. Here can we do that? Can we connect that? You can give it a try. Do know what will assure that we're advancing the society from the stable state of religion to doing it like we know in the right direction of, in order to bestow we are lacking a path for seeing the final place, the final state, and understanding there. We so see that little institution that we start in direction of religion like BAM is guiding us what will be different in it from the examples that we know that are stuck in that state of religion. Again, at some point where we try to do this correctly, we'll have to go through the stage of religion as rights, and what will assure that we won't hissel upon being stuck in that state. When we see that religion is stuck in a stage of itself, not get stuck, but it develops in this way, they have nothing else besides that. They don't get stuck when they have to back away from something. No, thank you. Yesterday you gave us advice to start giving out coins and start playing with it. That's how we heard it, and we really started to think what to do with it. So several things came up. One was that for each to have a certain number of coins, and then we kind of like use it each what he needs, and whatever left over we do something with it. I give such an example. Yes, yesterday you gave an advice of to give out each 1,000 coins and start playing with it, but to do a game with it. I don't recall such a thing. How did you hear that? Yesterday in the morning lesson you suggested to maybe do it like a game, and to divide it like give out stickers or something that's similar to the value of money, and to game them. You didn't give clear a guidance to plan a game between us where we will resemble a society that is balanced, that is aspiring for connection and give contentment like subscreen, not practically give out coins, but herein the tend to play a game where we can kind of emphasize this idea. So start to think about ideas, and maybe that's what he was asking about. So said, let's say each one that each is discerning how much he has and what he needs for necessity, and all the rest goes to the other things. That's one method that we thought we could work on. Another me is where there are no coins, but rather each gives according to his work. Let's say according to one's characteristics, he gives his time or knowledge, or to the society for the society, and then he works according to the ability, and the society gives him what he needs, meaning for necessity, and we kind of got stuck with it. We didn't know how to continue with it. If we could maybe give direction. Here question, do we have to look at it an economical matter, or like each has a certain sum of, let's say, money in the society, and we're giving out to each as much as he needs, and with the rest we use for, let's say, for dissemination or other things? Or do we maybe cancel this economical thing, this money thing, and we say, okay, each has something to give to the society, whether it's in the duties and knowledge and all kinds of such things, and this is what he actually gives to the society, and he receives what he needs from the society for the time being. I don't know. I don't feel too well these past few days. Let's hope that this shall pass, and I will connect to you more in action. Last question, so should we continue to try in that direction, or I don't know why I can't activate myself and give you an answer? Thank you. When he talked about that game, it appeared to me very a distant thing, and then I start to imagine how it could be. So I depicted that, imagine that maybe every friend in the 10 is like receiving 1,000 coins of life, let's say, and his purpose is to get rid of them as fast as possible and to pass them on to the centre of the T, and to leave in him as little as possible, and then you can. Even let's say I have given the greatness of the Creator in a certain man that's worth 50 coins of life to do a certain act of dissemination that's worth 20 coins of life, and that's how each in the 10 tries to truly give those a life coins to the center of the 10, and but it'll be, yes, but the calculation according to some false estimate for the scrutiny for those who are playing this game. Maybe it's worth saying that the economy is crushing and there are no coins. You have to eat, you need electricity, we need all the things that we need. What do we do then? How do we behave? Then there are no coins. Yes, down with all the questions. What do we have? Now we can continue there, or we can go to what do you prefer? We have a letter. 38 part 1. Okay, before we move to the next part of the lesson, we'll just remind you that on Sunday, June 30th at 6:00 p.m. Israel time, we're having a unity evening, building a spiritual society. It will be broadcast on all our sites, with a system for registration for the site, and will be sent to everyone. Hope. Move to a song. Is there a chance for love to go around the world and everybody? Here the broken heart is clear. Has everybody seen what all the walls can bring? Now love will be the choice, the song for each and every human voice. We know we take a one chasing dreams through the day. Now everyone is here sharing one heart. There are voices from some distant place. Then we hear him growing louder and louder each day, all around the world, all around the world, around the world. For forma, for let me smile. Look, we're reading in the writings of Rabash, the letter number 38. Letter number 38. The heading is who is the self. We should explain who is the person that we say must be a servant of the Creator, and in return for which we will receive reward. After all, man consists of 248 organs and the soul of life which sustains the entire body. The question is who is the operator, the mind, the heart, or the soul of life that sustains them, and what is the self which was promised to receive a good reward in the future for good deeds. The verse says, and God created the man in his own image. The term creation applies specifically to something new, meaning reality, existence from absence, where the Creator has created something new that did not exist before he had created it. Our sages interpreted that this reality is called desire to receive pleasure. This is a lack and emptiness that must now be filled. There was no lack before he has created it. As before this creation there was only wholeness, because it cannot be said that the Creator contains a lack. Therefore this is the only thing that is new, meaning the will to receive. Questions? No questions. Okay, heading creation of the will to receive. The need to create, the will to receive, is because they interpreted that the purpose of creation was to do good to his creations. The Creator wishes to impart his good in order to delight the creatures, and consequently creation must contain a CLE for reception of pleasure. It is impossible to receive pleasure if there is no need and lack for it, for then we do not feel any pleasure. This is similar to a person treating his friend to a good meal, but he has no appetite and therefore cannot enjoy the meal, for only the craving for the food determines the measure of pleasure in their meal. For this reason, in order for the creatures to enjoy his gift, he has imprinted in the creatures a nature of always wanting to receive pleasure, discernment that exists in a person, namely the desire to receive pleasure, is the whole of man which the Creator has created. Everything we speak of with regard to man is nothing more than the desire to receive. It was said about him that he must engage in Torah, and in the future he will be granted eternal pleasure. That is the desire to receive pleasure will be rewarded at the end of its work with receiving all the pleasure that the Creator contemplated giving to it. The desire to receive was given organs to serve it, and through which it is to receive pleasure, that is, they bring pleasure. These are the hands, legs, sight, hearing, and so forth. They are all servants, meaning that they all serve man. In other words, the will to receive is regarded as the master, and all the organs are its servants. It also has a butler appointed over his servants, monitoring and making sure that they all work only toward the desired purpose of bringing pleasure, for it is the wish of the landlord, called the will to receive. Should one of the servants be missing, the pleasure associated with that servant will be missing too. To each, if a person is deaf, he cannot enjoy the sound of singing. If he is anosmic, lacking the sense of smell, he cannot enjoy the fragrance of perfumes. And should he lack the intellect, which is appointed over all the servants, like the manager of the business, watching over all the servants, the whole business will go and could inflict losses, is like, here I'm sorry, this is like a business owner who has many employees, but a poor manager. Instead of profiting, he might lose, but the owner remains even when he has no manager, as though the manager is sick and cannot run the business, but the owner of the business is still alive. It is likewise here, if a person has no intellect, called servant, but the owner is present, meaning that the desire to receive pleasure is not lost because of it, and the aspiration to enjoy remains, but lacks the ability to scrutinize. Then he might sell big pleasure in return for a small one. For example, if this mindless one is craving a sweet, and the shopkeeper tells him, give me £10 and I'll give you the sweet. If he's mindless, he might give him £10 for the sweet, because he cannot evaluate the price of the sweet he wants. Similarly, he could cause harm, break tools, and tear clothes, because he thinks it will give him some sort of pleasure. Do not be surprised that there can be pleasure in harming. It is said about Aristotle, the great philosopher, that he burned a big and expensive house because he wanted to commemorate his name, meaning that his name would remain for posterity. He thought that because the mansion was a valuable thing, his name would be remembered, because everyone would remember the big mansion that Aristotle burnt. Thus we see that people find pleasure in harming also. Any deed that a mindless person does must give him pleasure, and that pleasure compels him to do some things even though they are bad, since he cannot weigh if it is worthwhile to cause great harm in return for a small pleasure. It follows from all the above that the essence of man is the will to receive pleasure and nothing else. That is the mind. 2 is not man's body, but, as was said above, heading concerning work, the will to receive, which is man's essence, is opposite from the creator, namely that the creator is the giver, and in order to have equivalence of form, meaning that man's actions will also be only to bestow, or the pleasures he will receive from the creator will not be whole, because he will experience shame in them, since one who receives a gift from another is ashamed to look at his face and feels torment upon the reception of the pleasure. For this reason we were given, by which we acquire a new power of wanting to bestow contentment upon the creator. At that time he will be fit to receive all the pleasures from the creator without any shame, because he will not receive all those pleasures because he wants to enjoy, because he is doing the creator's will by accepting the pleasure, as the purpose of creation was that the creatures receive pleasure in the world. Indeed, the whole work is about achieving this degree of wanting to receive pleasure only for the purpose of a mitzvah. I repeated the words that I said verbally so that you can remember them, for these are the very basics from your friend who wishes you and your family all the best. Shalom. Questions. Good. It's actually clear what he's writing. Starts his letter with a question: who is the self? And then he says the will to receive, but he also says that there's the intellect, the mind, the heart, and the soul that gives vitality. So what's the role of each of them in the service of the will to receive? I think that there is no problem other than the brain, the heart, and the liver, and all the other parts of the body, because you can replace all of them today and the person remains alive, just the brain not able to do it. Yet so over time we'll see that also the brain, so when he speaks about brain, heart, liver, and down to the simplest organs, all those things are parts of the body and not more than that. Say a man is made of the 248 organs, and the soul, the living soul, vitalizes everything. It's a light, and vessels are all the organs, are the light that passes through them, that fills them and connects them from one to another. This is the light of life. The moment it stops, a person dies. Are we talking about the corporal? The body, living body, doesn't matter. Corporal, let's say. Corporal, and if the conduct, the conduit of the connection between the organs is not well, a person is called sick. So where does this thing called the desire to receive take place? In this whole system, the to receive is the general desire that activates the parts of their body. So that's not in the physical body, that's something else we can't distinguish, that yet we can't, but we try. You have many articles by doctors, physiologists who write about it. So if so, there is the desire to receive, there's the light that fills it, which is the vitalizing source, and there's the mind and the heart, which are the tools that serve this will to receive. Yes, what is this soul that gives life? If I artificially manage to create a body like a man, all the parts in it and all the aspects, it how do, where do you know all the parts, the connection between them, that's the whole wisdom. This soul that gives life, is it in the parts, or is it external that enters this body and operates it? The soul of life exists in the connection between the heart. The wisdom of the connection between the parts brings you to know the method, the power, the goal, how to attain it, how to keep it. What thank you can he brings a verse in the beginning, wherein the Creator created man in his image. What does it mean that the will to receive was created, but in his image is like in his kind of like similar to him? No, and in the end he says that what will compel a person come to this repentance is shame in his imag, is in wid, but can explain to people that there's something that a person develops and goes through the whole pyramid of these desires of a person. Eventually he does come to that feeling, which of shame, a feeling that he has to correct himself in natural development if he goes through the degree of their desire. I don't think so. I don't think that according to the Maslow pyramid he's going through something that we also explain it when we explain in our intro lectures that there's the development of the desire, and we come to a desire for knowledge, and then from that we can come to the desire to the question of what's the meaning of life, and that so seemingly there is this process that eventually in each person there's that point that that the Creator created him in his image. Yes, there is a certain form of development here. Certain, why I'm asking, because we learned in the first part about the last generation, and probably everyone remembers that in the nation he writes that you can do an incubator where you that this natural development you can kind of hasten it with the help of building the society. Yes, that's what's written. Try and good luck. No, it's written in the verse before the work that what comes out from all this is the main thing in man, is the desire to want to receive pleasure and nothing else, meaning that also the mind is not man's body, but the same. What does it mean that also the intellect is not the body of men? It doesn't belong to the development of a person. Mind is an internal force that connects all the organs and the chambers of the brain, so on so forth. And that's it. Well, you're not full. Yet there's the body, the mind, the heart, and then the spirit. And he writes that the mind is like the intellect is like a manager. So my question is, so where is this yearning of a person come to spirituality come from? Is it something that's in his mind or a point. In the heart, where is it? It doesn't, let's say it exists in the heart, it doesn't exist really. When a person has a drive for spirituality to that point in the heart, still it is operated in the mind and the heart and in all his organs. Is it a kind of desire, this point in the heart, or is it a kind of desire only? Desire, how does this desire cause feeling? Desire awakens the feeling because it wants to feel something. When a person wants to feel, it's like an action of his body that he's trying, kind of like for the body. There's like this magnet that he wants to reach. He's just looking, he's like a certain search. A person that, for example, has like this a problematic manager, can he come to the implementation of the point in the heart? Not only can we get there, we are obligated to reach the realization of that point. We're obligated, and that's why such people gather and advance. How can you take certain points that you can hold on to, that you can understand that what you're doing in the body is really correct towards the point in the heart, as much as you try to exit the body and see it from the outside, but by that you can measure your advancement. We can try to understand this mechanism that changes the desire, because when we talk about the reforming light, it works out of us reading the writings. When we do certain actions with the friends, in the end it works with the intellect and the feeling. When we read something, think about it, we're drawn to it. The friend talking about how through this mechanism, which is the mind and feeling, how does it, which is the where the will to receive, how does it make an inversion that changes it? It passes through the upper system, which turns it inverts those forces to mind and the heart and the feeling. When talks about a psychological change, so that makes a certain change in one's perception and his mind and his awareness, that happens too. Yes, okay, when they want to go home, when we make the oh, that's what they're waiting for. Okay, who's reading it? I'll read the announcements. Okay, so you're invited to a World Unity evening on the topic of building a spiritual society. It will take place on Sunday, June 30th at 6 p.m. Israel time in Thebes Center. In it will be broadcast on the AR system and on to connect to the center. In there's a link that was sent out to everyone to register for it, and our schedule for today at noon, the afternoon lesson live with Ra at 5:30 p.m. Israel time, reading the study of at 6:30 building a spiritual society, and at 7:30 Z reading we'll conclude have a good day. BE. Here is the Lord is our God, the Lord is one, blessed is his name, whose glorious kingdom is forever and ever, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your possessions. And these words which I command you today shall be upon your heart, and you shall teach them sharply to your children, and you shall discuss them when you sit in your house, and when you travel on the road, and when you lie down, and when you rise, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for to topos between your eyes, and you shall write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gateways. And it will be, if you diligently obey my commandments, which I command you this day, to love the Lord your God and serve him with your entire hearts and with your entire souls, that I will give rain for your land in its proper time, the early autumn rain and the late spring rain, and you will harvest your grain and your wine and your oil, and I will put grass in your fields for your cattle, and you will eat and be satisfied. Beware lest your hearts be SCD, and you turn astray, and you worship alien gods and bow to them, and the Lord's fury will blaze among you, and he will close off the heavens, and there will be no rain, and the earth will not yield its produce, and ye will perish swiftly from the good land which the Lord gives. You place these words of mine upon your heart and upon your souls, and bind them for a sign upon your hands, and they shall be for topos between your eyes, and you shall teach them to your sons to speak them when you sit in your house, and when you travel on the road, and when you lie down, and when you rise, and you shall write them upon the doorposts of your house, and upon your gateways, in order that your days be prolonged, and the days of your children upon the land which the Lord swore to your fathers to give them for as long as the heavens are above the earth. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and tell them to make for themselves fringes on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and they will place with their fringes of each corner a thread of blue, and that will be to you for fringes, and you will look upon it, and you will remember all the commandments of the Lord, and you will perform them, and you will not turn aside after your hearts, and after your eyes, which cause you to go astray, in order that you will remember and perform all my commandments, and you will be holy upon your God. I am the Lord, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord, your God is true. Lord, open my lips, and my mouth will declare your praise. Blessed are you, the Lord our God, and God of our fathers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, the Almighty, the Great, the Powerful, the Awesome, Most High, Almighty, who bestows beneficent kindness, who possesses everything, who remembers the piety of the patriarchs, who brings a Redeemer to their children's children for the sake of his name, with love, King, Helper, and Deliverer, and Shield. Blessed are you, the Lord, Shield of Abraham. You are mighty forever, my Master. You are the resurrector of the dead, the powerful one to deliver us. He brings down, do sustainer of the living, with kindliness, resurrector of the dead, with great mercy, support of the fallen, and healer of the sick, and releaser of the imprisoned, and fulfiller of his faithfulness to those who sleep in the dust. Who is like you, Master of mighty deeds, and who can be compared to you? King, who causes death and restores life, and causes deliverance to sprout forth, and you are faithful to restore the dead to life. Blessed are you, the Lord, resurrector of the dead. We will hallow and revere you as with the sweet words of the company of the holy seraphim, who thrice repeat, Holy unto you, as it is written by the hand of your prophet. And they called one to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The fullness of all the earth is his glory. Blessed is the glory of the Lord from its place, and in your holy words it is written, the Lord will reign forever. To God Zion throughout all generations. Praise God, you are holy, and your name is holy, and holy beings praise you every day forever. For a great and almighty King, great and holy are you. Blessed are you, the Lord, the Almighty, the Holy One. You favor man with perception and teach mankind understanding. Grant us from your wisdom understanding and knowledge. Blessed are you, the Lord, granter of perception. Cause us to return, our Father, to your Torah, and bring us near, our King, to your service, and bring us back in wholehearted repentance before you. Blessed are you, the Lord, who desires penitence. Pardon us, our Father, for we have sinned. Forgive us, King, for we have transgressed. For you are a good and forgiving Almighty. Blessed are you, the Lord, great gracious one, who pardons abundantly. Look, please, upon our affliction, and defend our cause, and redeem us speedily with complete redemption for the sake of your name, because you are a mighty Redeemer. Blessed are you, the Lord, Redeemer of Israel. Heal us, the Lord, and we will be healed. Deliver us, and we will be delivered, for you are our praise. Grant a cure and healing to all our sickness, and to all our pain, and to all our affliction, because you are the Almighty King, who is a faithful and merciful healer. Blessed are you, the Lord, healer of the sick of his people Israel. Bless for us the Lord our God this year, and all the varieties of it produce for good, and bestow blessing upon the face of the earth. Satisfy us from your bounty, for you are generous, for you are generous, all mighty, who bestows goodness and blesses the years. Blessed are you, the Lord, blesser of the years. Sound the great char for our liberty, and raise a banner to gather our exiles, and gather us together quickly from the four corners of the earth into our land. Blessed are you, the Lord, gatherer of the dispersed of his people Israel. Restore our judges as before, and our counselors as at first. Remove from us sorrow and sighing, and reign over us quickly, you, the Lord, alone, with kindness and compassion, and make us righteous with righteousness and justice. Blessed are you, the Lord, King, lover of righteousness and justice. For informers let there be no hope, and may all wickedness instantly perish. May all your enemies be swiftly cut off, and the insolent may you quickly uproot, crush, rout. Disgrace and humbled and subdue speedily. In our days blessed are you the Lord, crusher of enemies and subduer of the insolent, upon the righteous, upon the pious, upon the elders of your people, the house of Israel, upon the remnant of the scholars, upon the true Pelites, and upon us may your mercy be aroused. The Lord our God grant bountiful reward to all who trust in your name in truth, and place our lot among them, and may we never be put to shame, for in you we have put our trust. Blessed are you the Lord, support and trust of the righteous, and to Jerusalem your city return in mercy, and dwell there therein, as you have spoken, and rebuild it soon, in our days as an everlasting structure, and the throne of David your servant may you speedily establish therein. Blessed are you the Lord builder of Jerusalem, the sprout of David your servant, speedily caused to flourish, and exalt his power with your deliverance. For your deliverance we hope all day, and watch for your deliverance. Blessed are you the Lord who caused to sprout the power of salvation. Merciful Father, hear our voice. The Lord our God spare us, and have compassion on us, and accept our prayers compassionately and willingly, for you are Almighty, who hears prayers and supplications, and from your presence our King do not turn us away empty-handed. Be gracious and answer us, and hear our prayer, for you hear the prayers of every mouth of your people Israel with compassion. Blessed are you, the Lord who hears prayers. Be pleased, the Lord our God, with your people Israel, and pay heed to their prayer, and restore the service to the Holy of Holies in your abode, and the fire offerings of Israel, and accept the prayer lovingly and willingly, and may you always find pleasure with the service of your people Israel, and may our eyes behold your merciful return to Zion. Blessed are you, the Lord who returns his divine presence to Zion. We are thankful to you. We are thankful to you that the Lord, our God, and the God of our fathers, forever rock of our lives, the shield of our deliverance, you are in every generation. We will give thanks to you, and recount your praise for our lives, which are committed into your hand, and for our souls which are entrusted to you, and for your miracles of every day with us, and for your wonders and benefactions at all times, evening, morning, and noon. You are the beneficent one, for your compassion is never withheld, and you are the merciful one, for your kindness never ceases. We have always placed our hope in you, and for all the foregoing blessed, exalted, and extolled your name, our King, constantly, forever and ever, and all the living shall thank you forever, and praise and bless your great name with sincerity forever, for your goodness, the Almighty, who is our deliverance and our help forever, the benevolent Almighty. Blessed are you the Lord, the beneficent is your name, and you it is fitting to praise our God and God of our fathers. Bless us with the threefold blessing of the Torah, written by the hand of Moses, your servant, pronounced from the mouth of Aaron and his sons the Kohanim, your holy people, as it is said, may the Lord bless you and guard you. May the Lord shine his countenance upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord turn his countenance toward you and grant you peace. Grant peace, goodness, and blessing, life, favor, kindness, and compassion upon us and upon all Israel your people. Bless us, our Father, all of us, as one with the light of your countenance, for by the light of your countenance you gave us, Lord our God, a Torah of life, and the love of kindly righteousness, blessing, compassion, life, and peace. And may it be good in your sight to bless us and to bless your people Israel at all times and at every moment with your peace, with much strength and peace. Blessed are you, the Lord, who blesses his people Israel with peace. Amen.